Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Wake up. 3 in the morning. Swimming in sweat. Reach for the hand fan I keep next to my pillow. Not there. Wipe myself down with a towel in the kitchen. Go back to sleep. Wake up around 7. Find my fan balancing on the metal hook connecting my bed to its ladder. Playing Zomganga online and hear a fucking plate fall into the sink. Turn around and see a lot of white smoke. Follow it with my eyes to the oven. Fucking white female face staring at me back from the oven. Turn around and turn the computer off and just go to bed. Didn't really feel scared, just got the biggest urge to sleep. Story 2. One day getting ready for bed for school. Get shit done and start trying to sleep. I believe about an hour goes by. Dog wakes me up because he's growling. Watch him just growl into the darkness. All of a sudden, fucking dog loses it.exe. Starts biting and attacking a corner in the room and just fucking going crazy. Freaking out as I'm watching this. Dog then looks up into the corner on the ceiling just barking and jumping. Fucking hide under the covers for what felt like forever. Nobody woke up from this, and my dad once woke up because he heard me playing Zelda in my room once. My stepbrother was also asleep in another bed in the same room and nothing. I know I wasn't asleep, but nobody in the house heard this at all. What do I do with knowing the dog barked loud as fuck, but it seemed I only heard it and saw it?
Not really creepy, but weird. Here's a little backstory. When I was in university, I was roommates with this guy that had Asperger's. He was a really nice guy but socially inept and very solitary. I'm an Aussie and he was a Chinese exchange student, always kept to himself, and was very clean in particular. Which is great, because I'm more of a quiet introvert myself. He was 22, and just finishing up a bachelor's of anatomy and cell biology. Roommate goes to class and I have the day off. Notice he didn't lock the door to his room, never been in there before. No, it's a breach of privacy, and totally not cool, but curiosity gets the best of me. No, he has 2 terrariums with hermit crabs and a lizard I've only seen when he cleans them. Walking, all kinds of weird shit all over the room. Take a peek at the terrariums. There's a third small heated glass container holding something that looks like a big white barnacle with a single black eye and tiny appendages. Binders of notes on his desk. Quickly peek over them. Tons of pictures of other barnacle-looking creatures, some in tanks, and some cut open. Last one in binder is Howard, picture of the one in the tank. Lists of ingredients and receipts from medical research supplies store inside. About 10 different ingredients was apparently put into it. What caught my interest was the dollar amounts. $600 or something for mesenchymal stem cells is the only one I remember. Apparently he put a concoction inside of a live unfertilized platypus egg along with his own sperm and grew this thing. Take a picture of it. It moves when the flash goes off. Don't mention it for weeks and soon my roommate has graduated and is moving on to a research job back in China. Mention Howard to him. He gets angry about me entering his room without permission, says he had types of coral he was growing for the terrariums, makes me delete the picture of he'll be keeping the last 2 months' rent. Apologize, never hear from him again. Anyway, it was on my mind for a while, and I did some research, and it became clear he was making a really sophisticated homunculus. I was able to find different pictures, and even videos of ones on the internet, but none as complex looking as the one I saw that day. Honestly, it was so big and sprawled out looking, I thought it was some kind of petri dish mold he had created. But I thought the eye was really odd. I summed up the movement to my eyes playing a trick on me, or me dumping something. Wish I knew more about it. I wonder if he's still growing them, and if Howard is still alive.
Be me, my friend, and his uncle. Working paper route together at night, mostly just to help the uncle as he waits on back surgery from injury at last job. One night, we're just doing our usual thing as we roll and throw papers. Small talk abound as we pull into an apartment complex. Suddenly we all realize none of us are talking. There is not a sound but the engine of the car. Not a bird nor a bug, despite there usually being plenty of both despite the late hours we work. Everyone looks at each other, a general chill on the air. Quickly get our shat done and leave. A few days later. Forget about strange feeling. Entering same apartment complex, but different entrance. Something feels off again. Suddenly, I see what looks like a shadow, but like, uncanny valley depth, moving on a balcony. Blink, confused, oddly unnerved. Suddenly it freaking jumps off like a third-floor balcony and into the tree below. Tree doesn't even react, suddenly fucker's gone. Realize there is no animal sounds again. We're about to turn and go into the shadows connecting to said tree. F that, tell friend and uncle what I saw. They feel off too, mostly from lack of sound. Decide to go around. Be probably a few weeks later. More or less put spooky nonsense behind us. Started improving route time by dropping me and friend off to run apartments on foot while uncle throws houses. Uncle and friend late picking me up from my route. Won't respond to texts. Suddenly they pull up and quickly get me inside. Turns out as friend was running to car from ending this route, uncle saw a shadowy hand grab his ankle when he stepped in a shadow and trip him. Same apartments as before. Some reason they didn't get any of my texts till they left the place. Friend has bruise on ankle but nothing bad. Only other thing to happen was I kept seeing something following me when I ran the place a few weeks later. Got that chat taken off our route.
Woke up in the middle of the night on the other side of my room out of bed as a child. The light was off in the hallway that I always kept on, so I step out, flick it on, go back to bed wondering what happened. Later that night, I wake up even further from my bed, in the middle of the hallway that had the light switch. The lights were off again. I stand up and hear a creepy sing-song voice. Turn on the lights, turn on the lights. It was coming from downstairs, the stairs being at the opposite end of the hallway from my room. I slowly went to the stairs and peeked down into the pitch black darkness, then it spoke again, only finished his song. Turn on the lights, so you can see me. Noped out of there and ran to my bed and waited a while. I could clear as motherfucking day hear my front door open and shut, along with what sounded like 2 pairs of footsteps, probably in shoes or boots. I eventually waited for the noises downstairs to quit, and sprinted down the hall again past the stairs and into my parents' room. My dad went downstairs and came back up, saying it was nothing, and they put me back into my bed. Spent the rest of the night awake and waiting for them to come back. I swear to this day I think someone was attempting to abduct me.
I have a few creepy things that have happened, but here is the worst of them. When I was about 16 years old, me and my best friend were hanging out in my room playing some video games. At about 2 a.m. we got bored and decided to explore the basement in my room. Some background info, me and my dad lived in the bottom floor of this house that was set up to be an apartment. For some reason my dad gave me the back bedroom, which had a bed built into the wall and a trapdoor that led to the basement. I was told to never go down there by my dad and the landlord, my dad's friend. For almost 2 years I never went down there. It always was a bit creepy to think about and never interested me. Anyways, that night my friend talks me into going down there. Eventually I agree and we remove the door and a large piece of plywood covering the entrance as well. What we see is rough cut steps leading to an old door that is latched with a chain. After opening the door, we see it is actually more of a root cellar, finished rough walls and dirt floor. A couple of shelves with old dusty crap on them, and no other entrance except my room. Looking around, we see a section of the wall that has been broken up and there is a hole in the wall near the top. Me being a chicken shat convince my friend to peek in there while I hold him up, and eventually he agrees. I get him about halfway in and he goes stiff and says, "Holy shat, there is something covered in white under where your room is." I'm kind of freaking out but figure it's just extra material or a foundation or something, so I tell him to check it out. Just as I am pushing him further in, he starts freaking out telling me to get him out. So, I pull him out. He says he isn't staying in the basement anymore and books it back up into my room. I follow and put everything back where it was, and as I am latching the door, I feel it being pulled back open, and there had been a lot of resistance before. I get chills and hurry putting the chain back on the door. I'm freaking out a bit but figure that's why the chain is there, right? The door won't stay closed for some reason, but whatever, it's fine now. Anyways, my friend is super white and scared, but is calming down and told me what he saw was what looked like white tarps rolled around a few different things, and he saw one of the tarps move, and that is what freaked him out. We are both kind of like WTF, but being teenagers we kind of blow it off and decide to smoke a bowl. As we are getting it packed, we hear and feel a heavy pound on the floor underneath us, right around where the tarps should have been. We stayed up all night afraid to go to sleep and tried to get back to the game to forget it all. I have a couple more stories from that house. Would anyone like any more?
Be me. 5 years old during the Bosnian conflict. We have to escape because people are getting killed in my village. End up in a huge caravan of people walking to a safer area, sometimes escorted by UN peacekeepers. We have a big family, end up at this abandoned 3-story house with some cousins. Spend the summer and winter there, really nice area aside from the bullet holes. The house is on a hill and has a nice little stream in front of it, and a path that follows the stream around the bend. My sisters take me down the path one day, and as we turn the corner I see the most beautiful little valley, filled with thick ferns and dragonflies, smells awesome. Looks really mysterious, like you could go in there and get lost forever. Fast forward a little, starts getting a bit colder. There are these little shacks all over the countryside where soldiers stay 2 at a time. We had one behind the house, further up the hill. I would go up there when new soldiers rotated in, and they would give me chocolate and other treats. Wake up early one morning, still dark, and look out the window of the 2nd story. See one of the soldiers out on the path, where it bends into the mysterious spot. He's just standing there in the dark, staring into the void. Whatever, go back to bed. When it gets light I go and play outside. One of the soldiers calls me over to give some candy or something. See the other one sitting down and kind of rocking back and forth. He seems really on edge. The one who gave me candy seemed kind of concerned about his friend, but tried to look cheerful in front of me. The next day I woke up around the same time. The soldier is out there again. He keeps pacing back and forth. He walks away from the mysterious bend, and then immediately runs back and stares back into it, not sure what he is seeing. Then he gets scared and runs away again. See him finally get on the ground and start crawling slowly towards the spot. When he looks around the corner he screams in absolute terror. He gets up and starts running towards the house. He is screaming and banging on the door trying to get in. My family wakes up and they are scared and confused. I tell them it's one of the soldiers. My dad runs downstairs to open the door for him. The soldier busts through as soon as it's unlocked and runs past my dad up the stairs, still screaming. I'll never forget how scared this guy looked. He kept running past us, up the 2nd flight of stairs to the 3rd floor. We still hear him screaming up there for a moment as his footsteps thump towards the 2nd balcony. Then we hear a short scream as he jumps, falls out. My dad went out to see what was happening as the 2nd soldier came running up. I went up to the balcony that the guy jumped fell from, and looked down to see a twisted mess of this guy gurgling and twitching in front of the house. Later I told everyone what I saw, but I never figured out exactly what happened with him. Still fucks with me today thinking about it.
Be me. Live in rural New Zealand. 17 at the time. Me and my friends decide to go camping hunting in our moods. All three of us wearing flecktarn because we're abus. I bring my handcast L8, friend 1 brings man 15. Friend 2 brings cheap 870 clone made by Ranger, because poor friend. No handguns because laws. We go to a nearby farm that another friend of mine owns. Going well PNG around 2:30 a.m. when I get woke by a weird sound from somewhere on the right side of my plus friend 2's tent. Sounds kind of like someone muttering and laughing to themselves 100 m away. Look to my left as see, a friend 2 is still there. He is, and asleep. Weird JPG can't sleep, so unzip tent and crawl out. Friend 1's tent still zipped closed, can hear him snoring. Crawl back into tent, try to sleep. Noise won't go away. Wake friend 2 up, tell him about the noise. He hears it too. Can't figure out what the noise is, can vaguely hear what sounds like words amid the muttering. Start getting scared. We both load our firearms. Wake up friend 1. He gets his rifle and loads it. Noise is louder now, like whatever is making it is closer. We get our torches, flashlights for Americans, and head out toward the noise. Walk about 60 m then stop. In our torchlight, we see some guy, shirtless, looks about 50, just muttering to himself. Some shit like, and when that time comes and he arrives, all will change. He's saying it all with really weird inflection, kind of like Burger King foot lettuce guy. Weirdo.bin. We all lower our weapons because he doesn't seem to be a threat. Relieve Avi because it's not a Wendigo or something. Sir, are you alright? He ignores us and keeps muttering. Hello, are you okay? Nothing. We approach him, still no reaction. We get like 5 m away from him when he looks me dead in the eye and screams it will come at the top of his lungs. He turns and just fucking runs off into the woods with no warning. He just disappeared completely the instant he was obscured from our view. No sign of him. Search for a little while but he's gone. Go back to our campsite. Continue our trip, nothing else weird happens. Not really a spooky story, but a weird one nonetheless. Anyone know if this was a paranormal entity or just a senile old man?
This is probably more funny than it is creepy. Ireland, 3 or 4 years ago. Making an indie documentary with a ghost hunting group, go with them on a couple ghost hunts to get footage and take part. About a half a year in, I'm telling people in my town about it, getting ghost stories from them. One guy, who may or may not have been in a certain paramilitary group in Northern Ireland when he was young, tells me about the Coonean Ghost House. It's a tiny little cottage, in the middle of a creepy wood, in Ballybollocks on the border, where an exorcism was performed in the early 1920s. Tells me we should check it out, but says that we absolutely must either tell the locals in the nearest pub that we're there, or call the local police station to say we're there, especially at night. Otherwise, certain paramilitants may or may not find us first and we probably won't be seen again. Also probably best not to tell them we are hunting ghosts. Is deadly serious about this. Me and Jack, one of the members who is a very happy-go-lucky old man, and Ellen, his friend and pseudo-Wiccan, go to scope it out during the day. Have to park our car along a back road in a clearing, then cross the road and go into tree line and up a path to get to the house. Seems spooky as F during the day, can't wait to check it at night for a more formal investigation. Get to the night, turns out we're actually doing it in secret from the rest of the group because they all didn't want to tell someone they didn't want to go to their birthday or something. One other person joins us, Betty, who is hugely obese. Start driving at night down hilly, windy country roads. Joe is speeding the entire way. His shatbox car doesn't have a work speedometer. Gets lost because one of the roads was closed and his GPS threw him, end up looping back on ourselves twice. 1 hour journey becomes a 3-hour journey. I'm shitting bricks due to how fucking insanely he's driving. Ask him to slow down dozens of times, everyone. I'm shitting bricks due to how fucking insanely he's driving. Ask him to slow down dozens of times. Everyone looks at me like I'm exaggerating. Every time the car takes a steep hill, it gets a little air, and because Betty is so fat, the car slams the ground and shoots sparks on the landing. Try to change the subject, talk about how they organized it. Find out they didn't call the fucking police station before getting there. Told them, repeatedly, that they needed to do that. Again look at me like I'm being a pussy. Finally get there, damn near shit myself on the way. It's cold, raining and dark as F. Park car, cross road, walk to house. Take out our equipment, mostly shitty audio recorders. Minutes go by. Wow, it's nothing.jpg. I convince them all to go. It's nearly midnight, it's shit out, we're tired, we're not getting any sort of readings at all. I'm on fucking edge and just want to go to bed. Walk back down the path towards the road. 2 cars pull up to block our path. Bricks of shat.web. Like they're fucking clown cars, about 12 young men pour out and start walking towards. They're all shouting and laughing like they're drunk. Well, what do have here then? Type shit. Start asking us 50 questions, pretending that they just coincidentally stumbled onto us. Keep trying to coax us back into the house. I'm trying to lead us out, saying, we're just a film crew, we were getting test footage, we're on our way home now. Jack's eyes part. We're ghost hunters. Motherfucker. I'm going to die at the ends of some gang because they wanted to find ghosts. Now we're the most interesting suspicious people in the world. The young RA heads now really want us to come back in. I somehow, finally, managed to get the team back in our car. The 2 other cars that pull up have spotters in them, watching us the entire time through their blackout windows. Finally get Jack to just drive home. Never talk to these chuckle FS again.
Be 14-year-old awkward kid with semi-popular friends. A friend of mine, Bob, has 20-year-old Chad bro with Chad friends. One day he tells me there's a fully abandoned floor in the decent private building he lives that nobody can access for some reason. Bob tells me that he lives right below it and sometimes he hears weird noises and shit. He is known for telling bullshit stories and I don't believe him, plus there's no way that kind of thing is allowed in a good neighborhood. One day I'm picking him up at his place to go to school, and he tells me to come in his apartment, which is weird. I've never been to his house before because his parents didn't really like me or my friends. I get inside his apartment with another friend and he tells me to listen. Can't hear shit and I think they are pranking us. His older brother tries to convince me but I call bullshit again. He looks legit scared though, and he is known for being a respected guy in the hood, plus I've never talked to him before, and I would have been an easy target for him if I wasn't friend with his brother. Fast forward to summer break. Me and another guy go at Bob's place to pick him up and hang out. He tells us to come in again, which is again weird. In his house there's his brother with another older guy. They want to go upstairs and check out the abandoned floor for shit and giggles. Big bro acts all tough saying he's going to F up whoever might be up there. We have nothing to do anyways, so we go with them. The abandoned floor was basically locked down from the rest of the building, the stairs didn't go up there for some reason, and the elevator stopped at the floor below. The only way to get there was by blocking the elevator between 2 floors and climbing the fire escape thing on the inside. I've been to other buildings in the same neighborhood, and the stairs did go all the way up, but it looked like that last floor wasn't even there unless you noticed from the outside. We go in with a fence cutter and break the lock of the fire escape thing door. The whole floor is beyond thrashed, every apartment open and filled with garbage, old furniture, and various trash, and bear in mind that each floor had 6 or 7 apartments with multiple bathrooms. No lights, windows blocked with wood planks and garbage. There's no physical way to explain how they moved all that shit up there with no stairs or elevator. Smells like shit too. We go inside one of the apartments. It's really dark inside and we use lighters just to avoid stomping on something dangerous. The whole apartment is filled with garbage, some rooms are completely inaccessible. No lights in windows, etc. Suddenly we hear somebody screaming. Big dirty hobo emerges from the garbage. Has a knife and keeps screaming. We panic and haul the fuck out and get back to the elevator. Everybody is scared shitless. Later I ask why nobody ever called the police or the landlord if they knew about something funky living up there. They don't want to answer, but now that I think about it, I think Bob's brother was a small-time drug dealer and he was looking for a place to hide stuff. Weeks later Bob tells me the noise stopped, but I have no idea how they managed to live there knowing what was up there. We eventually tell other people about the hobo, and it becomes some sort of legend that nobody believes. Fast forward 2 years later. Nobody ever saw or heard of the hobo, plus the area was fairly nice, so if a hobo showed up somewhere the police would have kicked him out promptly. Me and other friends are waiting for Bob for a local soccer tournament. He shows up 20 minutes late, awkwardly covering his bleeding face. He tells us he was walking alone in a parking lot when the hobo showed up out of nowhere and bit him in the face. He had no time to react and the hobo basically vanished without him realizing, no witnesses. He is still bleeding like 20 minutes later, and it actually looks like a human bite. His brother was waiting with us and starts screaming at him. He then punches him for being a whole place laughs until Bob starts crying. They go to the hospital and thankfully Bob didn't catch any disease. 8 years later and still no sign of the hobo, a fake. Watching my back ever since.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.